Hello and welcome to Travelin Young. Now I know that we haven't had a video in a while. I've been traveling a ton, like right this moment. I'm inside my parents' house and I want to begin this video inside the entrance foyer, which is where you come into the house. And I'm doing this because this video is going to be about differences in houses in America and houses in Denmark, but this time from the American side. And well, last time when we did it from the Danish side, a lot of people commented that in America, you walk straight into a living room. But as you can see, that's not the case here. There's the front door. There's actually a closet over here. There's stairs to go upstairs. There's a hallway behind you. And then this is what used to be our living room before my parents added on to the back of the house upstairs. So this breaks that myth. And a lot of the houses we've lived in also had entrance foyers, not just this one where I grew up. So that's where we're starting this week's Travelin' Young, the entrance foyer, as I welcome you into my parents' house to show you some of the differences from their house to the one that we live in Denmark today. Okay, one of the differences in homes in the US compared to Denmark are the windows. So in Denmark, all our windows have always kind of like opened like a door outward. Well, these windows, they slide up and down. And on the outside, there's a screen, so you can have it open and not have bugs get inside. That's a feature I wish we had on our windows in Denmark. But also, you can tilt these to be able to wash the outside. So you don't need to open them to wash the outside or do it from the outside. You can actually just do this to wash the outside of the window. Then you can put it back and put it down and lock it. So the windows in the US, basically every house we've lived in have been very similar to this, and that's a difference with Denmark. Okay, if you watched the Danish version of this, you heard me complain about the lack of ice machines in the freezer and refrigerator in Denmark. To demonstrate this, I'm going to use a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation glass. It says, "Did I break wind?" on it. And here you go. I just do this. Ice comes out. I can also choose between crushed or cubed ice. I can do this and I can get water that's going through a filter because typically you use filters for water here. And it's pretty nice. Inside, the freezer knows to only fill it up to a certain point. So it doesn't keep making ice. It just goes to a certain point and then stops. And it's all in the freezer, keeping it cold like everything else. Access to fresh, clean ice. I know how to make ice, by the way, with ice cube trays. I also know I can go to the gas station, but I very much prefer this option if I could have it. All right, we've already been in the entrance foyer for earlier when I started the video, but I wanted to show you this too, because when you open the front door, it's pretty common in the US to have what we call like a storm door, which is between the front door and the outside. And you can see there's screws around here. You could actually remove this big part of glass and replace it with the screen if you want. So in the summer, you can have this open and cool air can come in without any bugs. Or you can just leave it open like this. So it's often at my parents' house where it'll be open throughout the day, and then at night they'll go and close it and lock it. So, but I've never seen a storm door like this in any house that we've lived in Denmark. The doors just open kind of straight to the outside or inside. And I like this. We've always had houses that had this kind of door. We did live in a house down the street that didn't to start with, and then we replaced the front door and added one of these because it's just more welcoming for people that come in because the door's kind of already open, but it's protected from the elements outside. So I think that's a big difference is the way the front doors are here. Also, by the way, they have a mail slot, which they don't use on the front door because there's actually a mailbox in the front because the mailman here walks through the yard. He was just here a minute ago and actually drops the mail off right here outside the house in the mailbox. So he comes straight up to the house on foot to drop off the mail. Here we are inside of a bedroom, and I'm hoping that you can see this, but one difference is door handles and locks. Back in Denmark, every place that we've had a house, there's been like a little keyhole and a little key. Even like a fairly modern house that we first rented had a keyhole and a key to lock the doors from the inside. But here in the US, it's often like a push button on a door handle that locks it. In some cases, there's handles that you like push in and twist, and that locks it. And then to unlock it, all you do is just turn it and open it, and it's unlocked. So door handles are fairly different here as well in terms of how you lock rooms that you're inside of. But you're gonna get more in this actually, because another thing that's different is the door themselves. So these are often hollow doors. And so they're kind of decorated to look like there's panels and they're hollow. So if you go to Home Depot and buy a door, you'd buy it pre-hung already with the molding on it and the whole frame and this like hollow door, which makes it super light. And that's how you'd buy and install a new door in your house. And a third thing in this room, I don't think this is super common, but this house was built in like the 70s, and there are actually some outlets that have that are actually attached to the light switch. So in this case, this light is plugged into, there's no ceiling light, so a lot of rooms don't have ceiling lights. So this light is plugged into an outlet on the wall, and this switch controls if the outlet is on and off, and then that's how you turn the light on and off in this room. Rather than the light switch controlling a light in the ceiling, it's controlling the outlet. And so in this house, there's quite a few rooms that have that kind of setup. And I used to have a house down the street that was also very much the same. We're actually in what used to be the living room when I was growing up, but now it's just kind of like a spare room because my parents built something else upstairs. And they have a screen and a projector for watching movies. But that's not what I'm showing. What I'm showing you is this right here is a vent, because it's pretty common in the US. Basically, yeah, every house I lived in except in Chicago didn't have air at all. But all the other houses have had central heat and air. And this is a duct that's going from another room. I'll show you where the duct starts. But it distributes either hot or cold air, depending on what time of the year it is. Yeah, in Chicago, we had a house that had radiators, not too different than what's in Denmark. But it's pretty common to have this central heat and air that blows around. So let's go real fast into the laundry room and I'll show you what the big furnace is like and where all the ducts come from. Okay, this room is kind of small, so it's really hard to show you everything. But this is where the ducts kind of begin and get distributed around the house. And this whole thing basically has an air filter, everything in order to move the heat the air to move it around the house. And outside the house, there's an extra little mechanism, which if you have in Denmark one of those like things in the ceiling, they have a similar thing outside to handle getting the air and stuff from the outside. But this is also their kind of utility room. And I'm gonna move the camera slightly now. Sorry, it's a bit bumpy here on the, you can also see a very large washing machine. There's a dishwasher right next to it. And then my parents also have this very large freezer that they've always had to just get like, meat and stuff and store it downstairs in a big freezer. They also store things down here. But the biggest thing that every single one of these has is this furnace for basically moving the hot and cold air around in this central heat and air system. And then you'll see vents like the one I just showed you in every room in the house to basically get warmer hot air. And then there's a thermostat to control when it turns off and on and stuff as well. All right, here's a peek at that thermostat I was talking about earlier. What's nice is it also is connected to the internet, so it knows what the temperature is outside, so we can try to set the indoor temperature based on what the outside is and what it will become, so that it can start warming or cooling the house when it thinks it's going to need to based on the outside temperature. And that also helps make sure that it's efficient, so you can also set it to turn off when you're not home or things like that, so it's not running running the heat, running the furnace when it doesn't need to. So it's all a well-connected kind of internet-enabled thermostat, which controls all of the furnace downstairs and the air conditioning and stuff that I showed earlier. Okay, I'm inside a bathroom because I want to show, because in the Danish video, we showed how the lights were outside, the switches were outside the bathroom, and the explanation is it's dangerous to have outlets and switches inside a bathroom. Well, in this case, there's a switch right next to a sink, which you can't see, which is right here. But it's a GFCI switch, which means it acts as like a breaker in itself. So if it comes in contact with water, it'll automatically switch off. And so there's a safety mechanism for these outlets when they're inside of a bathroom. And there's actually buttons that I could press that would also test it to make sure that it's working and would temporarily turn the power off. So bathrooms in the US now, I don't know when the year this happened, but at some point in the recent times, you have to have these in kitchens or bathrooms, these GFCI outlets to help protect against the danger of electricity, connecting with water when it's that close to a sink. Here we are in a hallway, and I want you to see that there are wood floors here. A couple notes on this. People have mentioned that every house in America has wall-to-wall carpet. This is clearly not true. Every house I've lived in has wood floors. I also want to point out, what we mean by finished wood floors, because a lot of people made comments in our last video where Maya talked about unfinished floors. In this sense, unfinished doesn't mean that it's not complete. It means it doesn't have like a varnish or some kind of finish put on top of the wood, which means you have to treat it a whole lot more frequently. Where here, you basically just vacuum and maybe mop a little bit. It's not the same. Where in Denmark, we've always had to kind of mop it with this like liquid film stuff that's a special solution that you have to do pretty frequently to prevent the wood from getting damaged. So that's very different. This is what we mean by finished wood. And every house I've been in has had wood floors. And this is an example of my parents' house, the hallway into the bedrooms, full of wood floors. All right, here we are in my parents' dining room. This is where I'm gonna finish this off. You may recognize this, as you may have seen some videos where we're eating small bro here at this table. But this is where I'm gonna end it. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's any other things in American homes that you would like to see. And maybe next time I'm here, I can shoot some other things in an American home. But this has been great. I've been gone for a couple weeks. I'm eager to get back. Miranda and Maya didn't come with me, so I'll see him in a couple days. And I appreciate you joining us here on Travelin' Young.